about a job? Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
What do you think? Well, what do you know?
What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here, and I just got back from Solo, a Star Wars story. For those of you who don't know, I am a massive Star Wars nerd. I love Star Wars. It's my thing. It's my jam. I love it. I got Star Wars freaking ships all up there, helmets. I got everything. Like it's my jam, and I love it. Everyone's got a series, and this is mine. I love it to death. And like, I gotta be honest with you, when I heard they were gonna do a Solo, a Han Solo origin story, I'm like, do we really need a Han Solo origin story? Do we really need one? Like, most of the time, like, I was kind of happy with Han. Like, he's just this, badass dude. And his development was always through the movies. Like, you see him develop through the movies. The 4 movies that he's in. You see that. And I didn't think he needed an origin story. But we got one. We got one. And all I was hoping from it was just going to show me like a glimpse of the seedy underworld of Star Wars. The gray area in between the Empire and the Rebellion. Stuff like that. Did I get that? Did I get that just a badass adventure with Han through the seedy underworld of Star Wars? I think damn right I did. I thought it was freaking awesome. I freaking loved Solo. I loved it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was great. I got the same feeling that I got from Rogue One. I got that same feeling of this is a enclosed Star Wars story. It's not going to continue on. Like, we're not going to get another Solo movie. That's just not going to happen. It did some cool things here and there. It kind of told the story of Han and all the rest of it. Sort of just finally narrowing down his origins in a way. And then, that's it. Like, it was just like, okay, you want to see more of Han Solo? Go watch the movies. Like, that's what it basically did. So I got that same feeling from Rogue One, because I loved Rogue One too. I loved what they did. I will say that I felt like the stakes were higher in Rogue One. Like, they could do a lot more there, because it's not an origin story. That's the killer on this one. But we'll get into that. So just a heads up, you guys don't have to worry. The first part of this review is spoiler free. Only stuff that we knew beforehand and trailers and stuff like that. That's it. Nothing big, nothing major, nothing that will blow your mind and ruin the movie for you. Because I know a lot of you will definitely not have seen it yet. Because, I kind of went midnight to see this thing. But yeah, so no big spoilers in this. We'll have a spoiler section at the end of the review, okay? So that's for those of y'all who have seen the film and want to get into the nitty-gritty part. Because I love talking me some Star Wars theory stuff, so we'll get into that. So, spoiler free for the first part, and then we'll get into that stuff at the end, okay? So, like I said, what I wanted from Solo was, the criminal underworld. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that criminal underworld, crime syndicates, stuff like that, bounty hunters, all that stuff. Because that's something that, movie-wise, we have not seen so much. Like, really, the only big, things we've seen of the criminal underworld stuff is Jabba, obviously, and his whole crew, Boba, and then Han. It's a really isolated sort of criminal underworld sort of thing. Prequel wise, I think there may be the whole things with the separatists and stuff, but they're the real big guns that we've seen. So I wanted to see more of that. Like, I wanted to see stuff like the Pikes and the Black Suns and all that stuff. When seeing the trailers and seeing that the sort of marauder bounty hunter type guys with the Mandalorian looking helmets and all that, that's the stuff I wanted. And I will say I got that from this film. I got that. It's very little to do with the Empire in a way. Like, there is parts that deal with the Empire, but it's just you're more dealing with the crime syndicates, which I loved. I loved that. Because to me, that, like, when I heard they were going to do a Solo film, I was like, you're going to have to do it this way. Or else it's just like, if it's Han just being a hero all the time, then it's kind of lame. And it would just be a kind of a boring origin story. But I'd say it's not that. It's definitely showing, that criminal side of Han in a way. He's still that nice guy, like deep down. You know, Han's like gruff, and he's, you know, he always swears he's gonna do the wrong thing, like he's gonna just fly away with the money and not give a shit about Luke. He's, you know, all that stuff. You know, he's not gonna go with the rebellion, even though he becomes a general and all that. He always says it, but he's all talk, and he always is the nice guy in the end. It's still there. That core element of Han is still there, but you see him transform into a smuggler, which is what I wanted to see. You know, that sort of criminal world sort of twist him a little bit, which I wanted. Now, obviously, a big thing with this film was the new Han Solo. That is something that I had to get over. That is something that I think a lot of us have to get over, is that it is not Harrison Ford. Now, Alden Ehrenreich, he has a passing resemblance to Han. I will say that. There is a look of Han. And he has moments where you're like, yeah, that's Han. Yeah, I can hear that. Like, there are like some moments where he's at the Zabak table and stuff, and he says something, and he's like, damn, that sounds like Harrison Ford. But there are other times where you're like, no, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying that you're Han. Like, you are definitely giving me that vibe, but you're not my Han Solo. You'll never be Harrison Ford. You know, like, I was exposed to Star Wars when I was like 2. So I've loved Star Wars for like well over 25 years. And Han Solo has always been Harrison Ford. Always been. So it's very tough to get over that fact. And when you do, you'll enjoy yourself immensely with this film. You enjoy yourself immensely. But if you can't get over that, if you can't accept that, you know, this guy is trying to be Han Solo, and you just go for the ride and enjoy it and accept it as that is Han Solo, the character, may not be the actor playing him, but he's the character, and you follow him on his journey, that you'll love the film. You'll love the film if you're a Star Wars fan. But if you can't, you may be in it for a little bit of a rough ride. He's good. He is good, and he's a passable Han Solo. He's just not Harrison Ford. That will be that's the underlining thing with this new Han Solo, is that he will never be as good as the original Han Solo. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a time machine and can't go back to the 70s and get the Harrison Ford from there. So we got this one. We got this one. And I think he did a good job. I think he did a good job. He, like I said, he had moments where you're like, damn, yeah, this is Han Solo. And then others you're like, it just doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right. But looks-wise, I think it'll look really good. But I do think that a big detractor from this film that, like, really, it's a problem with origin stories. It's always the problem with origin stories, especially on a character that is already established, is you know they're gonna survive. This is what happened with the prequels. Like, we always knew Anakin was gonna turn into Darth Vader. It was just a matter of time and how he did it. We always knew Obi-Wan was going to survive. We always knew Yoda was going to survive. So the stakes are lower. Like, everything that happens to Han, everything that happens to the Falcon and Lando and all that, we know they're going to get through it. We know. It's just how are they going to do it? So the stakes come down. With Rogue One, we didn't know any of these characters. And we just knew they got the Death Star plans. We didn't know how. We didn't know, like, who survived and who didn't. Turned out no one did. Spoilers if you haven't seen Rogue One. But, you know, the stakes were so much higher, and you felt that in that third act. Like, the third act of Rogue One is one of the best third acts you'll ever see. Like, especially in Star Wars. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Because it had such a high stake to it. Because we knew all those characters were disposable. They could get rid of them at any time. This time, no, you didn't have that. Because you knew Han was going to survive. You knew Chewie was going to survive. Lando and the Falcon. You knew all those guys were going to survive. It was just a matter of how they're going to do it. And then the extras they had around them. You know, and what other surprises they can throw in there. Which there is. I will say that. There is some good surprises in there. I won't spoil them in this part, but we'll get to them in the spoiler section. But that's the problem. That is a problem with this film. That is a problem. Their stakes are just not there because you know they're going to survive. And origin stories will always have that problem, especially on an established character. Obviously, when you get a Han Solo story, you can't leave out his right-hand man. Chewie, I mean, it's Chewie. He's Chewie. And you just see, like, you know, the beginnings of it. You see the whole kind of life debt type of thing moving forward. You don't have that moment where he's like, I swear my life to you sort of thing. It's just this mutual bond happens throughout the movie. It's not forced. It's not this big moment where Chewie's like, I'm giving my life to you. It's, nah, we're just good buds now. We're good friends. We're, you know, we've saved each other's lives so many times in this short amount of time. We're gonna just stick together. And that's what happens. And, you know, and they go into a little bit with what happened with the Wookiees, with the Empire and all that. That's well known that they were enslaved, and you know, Kashyyyk was just basically strip mined and, you know, slave camps and stuff. And they sort of go into that a little bit, but it was still great. It was still great to see. It's still great to see that relationship, you know, begin. That was one of the things I was looking forward to in the film, was seeing let that relationship grow. And when you see the two of them sit down in the cockpit for the first time together, flying, you know, for the very first time, it's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Like, I love that. And they have some good music on that scene too, and it's fantastic. There is a trailer out, I think, that shows it, which I will say this, that man, did they spoil some stuff with all those trailers, because they were pounding out like the you know, sneak peeks and stuff, and the trailers and the featurettes and all that. There is some big scenes that they spoiled, and it's like, man, this would have been really cool if I'd seen it hadn't seen it before I'd come to see the film. So something they may have to work on in the marketing is like, you know, they didn't spoil all of it, but there's some of it was like, man, I really wish I hadn't seen this prior. So something they may need to work on over there, Disney and Lucasfilm. It's like, come on, please don't spoil us. Like, we love seeing stuff, but maybe don't, you know, force it down our throats and spoil things, okay? But it was still good. It was still good. And there's moments like, you know, you see all the connections to it, and it works really well, and I loved it. And, you know, Chewie was fantastic. You know, you see, you know, the moments where, you know, stuff that Han talks about in the originals about Wookiees and all that, you see it come to fruition. He was really good. And he was like a steadying character through the film. Like, he's that sort of rock for Han, which he always was. So that was cool. That was really cool. And you get to see his feet. Like, they're like Sasquatch feet. Like, that's a little bit of a spoiler there, but that was the first time I've ever seen Wookiee feet. Like, toes and all. Like, that was, yeah. It just, like, it was when I was watching, I was like, this is the first time I've ever seen an actual Wookiee's feet. Because you just don't see that. They don't point the camera down to his feet. Like, it was just, yeah, that was just something small. But yeah. So yeah, I love Chewie. Obviously, we get to Woody Harrelson's character, Tobias Beckett. He's just this old badass, man. He's old badass gunslinger. You know, he's flipping the guns around. He's badass with a blaster. He's basically that mentor, right? He's that guy that gets Han into the life. He gets Han into the life, into the smuggling life. Teaches him a few things. Teaches him some valuable lessons throughout the movie and stuff. I liked him a lot, and Woody Harrelson is great. Like, I've loved him in a lot of the stuff he does, and you know, Tobias, I liked him as a character. I really liked him as a character. And they did some things to make him a little relevant in the whole bounty hunter, sort of smuggler criminal world. But yeah, I liked him a lot. He's just like the guy that's been there and done it. You know? That old badass, you know, smuggler, criminal guy. He's into everything. He's not just a bounty hunter, he's a thief, he's a smuggler, he's everything. So it was kind of cool. Then obviously we cannot forget Lando, Donald Glover. Donald Glover did such a freaking great job as Lando. Like, the voice is spot on. That is a nailing of getting a younger version of the character, because just the subtleties in his voice. Now, it's not just calling Han, Han. You know, it's not just that. It's just like the small like accent and stuff to his voice, and like the way he moves and the way, you know, he holds himself and stuff. It's very much Lando. You believe he's Lando. He did a fantastic job, absolute fantastic job. And I mean, Donald Glover is like one of those actors now that just anything he's in, he nails it. So, Donald Glover was like MVP of this movie for me. I loved him. I thought he was really, really good. Amelia Clark, Kira, sort of the girl that grows up with Han. Um, but the love interest, kind of thing. And again, like like in because it's an origin story, and you know who he ends up with. You know who Han ends up with. He's not hanging around with this girl named Kira the entire time, so you know stuff's gonna happen that's gonna keep them apart. I will say the stuff they did with her was very cool. Kira's a bit of a badass. I'll just say that Kira's a bit of a badass. You wait for it. She's got some skills. She's got some skills, which is pretty good. Amelia Clark. I mean, it's still like watching Game of Thrones a little bit, like Daenerys. But she was good. She was good, and they kind of went into the background with them as like sort of younger, kids like on Corellia and stuff, which is great, by the way. Like I loved how they went to Corellia. Yes, we hadn't seen that. You've seen the Star Destroyers being built in the sky and stuff. It's like, yes, that's the one thing I wanted to see. If they were gonna do Han, it's like Corellia. Awesome. It was dark and dingy and crap. It's like, yeah, it's like that was cool. But yeah, Amelia Clark, Kira, I liked her. She had her place. She had her, she sort of had her role in the team. They did some good stuff with her, sort of secret wise. I can't really say like what it is, but I liked her. She was, in a way, she's like a good lesson for Han. She's a good lesson. She's like a good, she's a good first girlfriend before he meets the love of his life, sort of thing. Teaches him some lessons, and then when he meets the love of his life later on, this princess, being kept in the Death Star, that's when he knows, like, okay, this girl's legit. Even though he stuffs it up in the end, kinda, but she's good. I like Kira. Amelia Clark did a good job. So we got a new droid in this one. We got a new droid, a female droid. I don't think we've had a female lead droid. I think there was a female like C-3PO version. There are ones around, but we haven't had a lead droid who's female. But L3, I liked her. I liked her a lot. I don't think she's on the level of like R2 and C-3PO and BB-8 and all that, but she was fun. I liked her. She's this very forward-thinking droid. She knows her rights. Let's just say that she knows her rights. I liked her a lot, and they did some stuff with her. That works out very interestingly. It's a subtle thing. It's a subtle thing that you may, if you've watched Star Wars enough, especially the originals, you'll understand it when it happens. But yeah, they did a good job with L3. I liked her design. I liked how she was sort of kind of pieced together in a way. She's not a combat droid, but she was badass in a way. Like it was cool, and she's just got this attitude, and her voice was really good, really cool, and yeah, just her overall demeanor was really cool. I liked her a lot. I think you can add her to, the legit good droids of Star Wars, obviously, we got K2 with, Rogue One. I think you can add L3 to that. L3 was good. Her and Lando together was legit. I liked them a lot. The story's pretty predictable in a way. It's if you know the general, sort of origins of Han Solo, it's never been pegged down of what his origins were, and this obviously does that. It feels like they've taken the best parts of that in a way and kind of worked it all together to make it work. There are big moments that we know that Han Solo does that makes him Han Solo. All that stuff goes. I felt like the story, like I said, being a prequel, it falls into that problem where you know what's going to happen because he's like, well, Han's going to this dangerous thing. He's obviously going to get out of it. It's just, how does he do that? And they do some really cool ways of them getting out of it. Like, there's some really cool scenes with the Millennium Falcon and all that. Like, it's really, really cool. And to finally see some of these big moments that we've heard so much about with Han was awesome. And to see it all. But it being like an origin story and having that prequelitis, it hurt the story a little bit. Visually though, it was really, really good. The costumes, everything, it all fit well. The space stuff was fantastic. The damn planets they go to are really, really good. They're sort of like seedy underworld planets and stuff, which I love. Yeah, the visuals of it are fantastic. Like Star Wars now is just so beautiful. Like it's really, really great. Visuals. Visuals are never a problem with Star Wars. So yeah, I liked how it looked. I liked how everyone looked. Han looked like Han. Like that was the important thing. Like the guns and all the rest of it. Like everything fits right. Even like Lando. Donald Glover and everything. Like the capes and everything. And the Millennium Falcon. Like it's what you would expect the Millennium Falcon to look if it was Lando's ship. That's all I'll say. Like that's what it felt like. That's what it looked like. And yeah, it was legit. I liked it a lot. Music, great Star Wars music. Like I love Star Wars music. I can listen to it all day. And this one had its moments, but there's those certain songs that are like, yeah, that's the original one. Like they mix it up a little bit, but when those original songs kick in, you're like, fuck yes, like that's what I wanted. And they do it at really good moments too, which I like. But music was fantastic. I liked it a lot. The title scene. Now, we all wondered what was going to happen with Rogue One, being that it was not an actual episode. It's not one of the main lines. It's not one of the main trilogies. So, in a galaxy far, far away thing, and then boom, they go straight into the movie. This one did a little bit different. I think they're going to play around with it a little bit on these Star Wars stories. So, yeah. Just have a look at that one. I don't know if I liked it or not. I kind of like the whole just cut to it. This one, a little different. So have a look at that one. So it's sort of just to wrap it up here before we go into the spoilers section and I'll give a verdict. I loved the film. I really liked it. I had a great time watching the film. It felt like an adventure with Han. That was what I wanted. And it had the crime stuff and it had some just subtle stuff in there. Like if you're a fan of Star Wars and you've watched the Clone Wars and Rebels and all this stuff, right, and you've seen all the films and all that, and you kind of like picking through stuff, there is stuff in there for you. There's some very subtle things that go through there. They wrap up some things that Han has said that has happened to him. They do those things. It was a nice way to wrap all those theories up about Han and where he came from and all the rest of it and put it in a nice package. And and the package was great. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed Solo. I think it's well worth going and seeing. If you're a Star Wars fan, like, what are you even doing? You should be seeing it now anyway. I was one of these people that was like, I don't think I really need a Solo origin story. Like, that's just not something that I need. I would probably prefer like an Obi-Wan story, which tells the story of him like when he's on Tatooine and all that. I'm more excited for that one, which I'm pretty sure is coming. I'd rather that than an origin story for Han. But now that I got it, I like it. I think it's really good. And I had a great time with it. It's this space adventure. It's got some really cool things in it. Some main characters that aren't Skywalker. It's got very little to do with the Empire and the Rebels and all that stuff. It's that gray area in the middle, which I wanted. I wanted something like, there's the seedy underbelly of Star Wars. Clearly it's not like the nitty gritty part of it, but it's definitely the smuggler bounty hunter stuff that I really like. So I was very happy with it. Ratings. So I pretty much gave Rogue One a 9. I would give this one an 8. I'm gonna give Solo an 8. Mainly because it suffers from the whole origin story prequelitis thing where what happens to the main characters. What happens to them, so the stakes are so much lower on them. So the story, no matter how hyped it can make it and how badass situation and oh my god, is Han gonna get out of it, that sort of thing, you know he's gonna get out of it. You know he's gonna get out of it. So yeah, that was the problem. That was a little bit of a problem there. Still tough to get over the fact that it's not Harrison Ford playing this Han Solo, but I thought Eldon did all right. I thought he did a good job. Like I said, he had his moments. So yeah, I think definitely an 8. But I think it's a go and see it. I think it's a fantastic, fun movie to watch. I think it's exciting. Yeah, if you love that sort of sci-fi space adventure stuff, even if you're not into Star Wars, and this may be for you. But I do think it pays off being a Star Wars fan. Knowing the nitty gritty parts of it. There's some stuff there for you. But if you don't, I think it's a good enough movie for you just to go and watch anyway. And the broad story is fun and exciting. I think it's good. Alright guys, we're going to head into the spoiler section now. For those of you who don't want to be spoiled, this is where I say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you did like what you watched, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. We are pushing for that 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so hopefully we can get to that. We're pushing for that 1,000 subs. I'm hoping to get it by, sort of mid-year, hopefully. I got to get back into making videos more, which has been my problem. I'm sorry, I've been a little lax on that. Just the whole moving and everything, just getting back into the fold of it all. I promise I will do my best on that. But yeah, just thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. But we are heading into the spoilers section now, so Spoiler Kiwi will now come on. I think over this side I'll put it. And yeah, so see you later. And for those of you coming to the spoiler section, I'll see you there. Rightio, spoiler section. This is where we talk about the nitty gritty stuff of the movie. This is where we talk about nitty gritty stuff of Star Wars, and I love that shit. I love that shit. The subtleties of it. Me just looking too much into it. I think is a lot of it, and I mean, I just love doing it. I think it's something fun. Like maybe not for everyone, but I love it. Now, so the big thing I took away that really was like, damn, that I got from Solo, it's got to be Darth Maul. It's got to be Darth Maul. I was like, this is the first time we've seen him on the big screen since episode 1. It was great to see him on there. And the face, and like, I always thought they did wrong by Darth Maul. And for those of you who have not seen Clone Wars and Rebels and all that, yes, Darth Maul is still alive. Even though Obi-Wan cut him in half and he fell down the tube, he was he kind of went insane for a little while there. He's a little bit mad. He got driven mad by him wanting to go back after Obi-Wan, and he was driven mad by revenge. And thanks to the Night Sisters, which he sort of came from in the first place, it's where Sidious got him as an apprentice. They kind of brought him back with his brother Savage Opress, and like, yes, this is Clone Wars stuff. So yeah, and we've seen him in the Clone Wars animated series, and also we've seen him in Rebels more recently. And in Clone Wars, he did build a criminal empire. He kind of went around, got, sort of took over places, sort of brought together, sort of the Black Suns and Pikes and all that. He did that stuff. And that was how he wanted to regain his power. Sort of get him back into the game of the whole big pieces of the galaxy in a way. But then Sidious come along and just kind of squashed it. And then when we see him in Rebels, he's he's sort of by himself. So this kind of puts it in perspective, I think, a little bit, because I think this is before we see him in Rebels. So this is before we see him in Rebels, which was like season... What was when we see Darth Maul? Season 2, Season 3? I think it was Season 2, Season 3. I think it's Season 2 end. Yeah, and then Season 3 we see him after that as well. So it's before then, and he still has this criminal underworld. So he has the Crimson Dawn. That's what he turns it into. And that's some cool ass shit. I love that. And I liked how Kira was like, no, I want my power. Like, this is my chance. It's my chance to be the lead, like a big time leader in this in this thing, and he's sort of like, tells her to come to Dathomir, and he has the lightsaber that he has in Rebels. I was like, that's some good stuff. That's some good stuff, and I love it. I honestly, I've always said this. I thought the prequels would be better if Darth Maul did not just get killed off in a way, just sort of cast aside for Count Dooku, because I think Darth Maul would have been a far cooler person to go up against for Anakin and Obi-Wan and all that, just to make those movies somewhat a little cooler. But I guess they, Episode 1 was kind of, Darth Maul was this cool looking thing to sell toys. Then I guess after that they kind of had General Grievous and all that. So yeah, but it was cool to see Darth Maul. I loved it. It was a good like boom, here you go. Like, because they hinted at it like, you know who we serve. And I was like, damn, is this like the Emperor's like, secretly, because the Emperor used, the Emperor used the criminal underworld. Like, he knew, like, I can't fight them, but I can get them on my side. I can get them, like, if I leave them alone, I leave them to their thing, I can, use them to get the stuff that I need and stuff that I want. So the Empire didn't fight the bad, they didn't fight off the criminals all that much. Like, the Emperor knew who to manipulate on that. So I thought it made me him. But when they brought up Darth Maul, I was like, yes, like that was cool. I loved that. I really did. I thought it was great. The Kessel Run. The Kessel Run. We finally got to see it. We finally got to see how he did in 12 past 6. Well, technically I think it's a little more than that because he's rounding down. That's how he deems it. It was cool. It was cool. When they went to Kessel, they had to get the fuel, back to the refinery in time. I loved that. I loved that. I knew we were going to see the Kessel Run in a way. It was like, I knew we were going to see the poker game for Han to win the Millennium Falcon. Like, that was always going to happen. We kind of got like 2 of them in a way, with, Lando kind of cheating in the first one with the whole thing. Which was very Lando, by the way. Like, I loved that. But the Kessel Run, and how, L3 gets taken out, L3 dies, and she becomes like the Navicomputer for the Millennium Falcon. And that's like the little things, right? Because in the originals, you gotta remember, like, C-3PO's, he's talking, when they're in the when they're in the asteroid field, and C-3PO is talking to the Navicomputer and stuff, and he's like, the Millennium Falcon, she has a really strange way of talking and stuff. That's her. That's L3. So L3 is kind of like an original character in a way. They've just made her into something. But yeah, like that was who C-3PO was talking to, was L3. So that was kind of cool. I liked that. And then I guess the whole like big monster thing, and then the Maw, which is like this gravity well. We knew there was like black hole stuff with the Kessel Run. Like, that was always a theory that people would put out there, and like stories and stuff of Kessel Run. Always said, like, the Millennium Falcon went through black holes and stuff to get there. In a way, it was. In a way. They just kind of used, like, they hit the nitro and went boom. The only thing I'll say is on that whole scene with, the Empire shows up and in that cloud, and that's an amazing looking scene. Like, when I saw it in the trailers, it was like, damn. The only thing I'll say is that they never really told you about the new TIE fighters, like the TIE RB or something, which is apparently like a more heavily armored TIE fighter. Because those who don't know, like, the TIE fighters aren't shielded. They're basically death machines, right? They're made to be nimble, fast, and they shoot. That's really it. Like, that, the whole shielded TIE fighter is not a thing. The X-Wings have shields. These guys don't. So the death count on TIE pilots were very high. And so this TIE RB, which I found out was his name, is a more heavy-duty one. It must have made a showing, prior to the whole Death Star stuff, because if you've seen Rebels and all that, there's like TIE Defenders now and everything, which are really cool. I love how the different ties are showing up, which I like. I just kind of wish the movie kind of said like, "Oh man, that's the new TIE fighter. Like it's more heavily armored. We can't shoot it." Like that sort of thing. But no, it was pretty subtle about it. It was just this new TIE fighter chasing them, which was a little bit disappointing. But the whole Kessel thing, going through the clouds and stuff, showing off that Han is like a badass pilot. Like I think that was the big thing because obviously in the originals, you can't really show how badass of a pilot Han is. And then in Force Awakens, you kind of see a little bit of it, but it's a lot of, him just hyperspace jumping into things and all that. This one, you got to see how badass technically Han is. Like flipping and doing all the rest of it and flying where no one else can fly and all that stuff. It was legit. It was really cool seeing that. And the effect, the visuals on it and all the rest of it was cool. And we see how they lose the cargo container and stuff. And even the dish off the top, like Lando had this different dish and that gets taken off. I liked it. I thought it was really good. So we got to finally see the Kessel Run. It was cool. I dug it a lot. I mean, that poor Millennium Falcon, man. Like, now we know why it looks the way it is. Han's rough. Han is rough on the things. Then obviously, we got to see part of Han's Imperial sort of career. Like, he was in the Imperial. Well, he signed up to be a pilot, but got kicked out. We never got to see him as an Imperial pilot. He got kicked out and sent to the just to the army, I think, just the stock standard like foot soldiers. And we got to see this cool like war zone. You see that cool war zone, and this is the first time we've seen a war zone like that where it wasn't stormtroopers in pristine white armor running along. Like this was dark, dirty, like guys like out of the armor. They're just like in normal like war. Like it was like they almost look kind of like the rebels in a way, but it was like Imperial obviously, and like the ATSTs are dropping down, and it's like dusty, and it's like all this cool shit. It was like freaking Battlefield Star Wars version, but obviously we always got Battlefront, but that's not really quite the same. It was really cool. It was really cool to see. Like it was a more realistic sort of thing, and it was sort of like showing, yes, the Empire is at war with a lot of planets trying to put their own, governments in there and stuff, and to see that was really cool. And I loved seeing that, like the rockets whistling by and the like I said with the ATSTs and stuff. So it was cool. It was cool. I liked it. And then obviously we see the crew show up, and you see Beckett with the freaking whirling the guns around. He's a freaking gunslinger and all that. It was awesome. I liked it a lot. Then we get to like the Enfys Nest, which was like that Marauder group that we saw in the trailers, and it looked badass. Like, kind of had like this sort of Sith-looking helmet and stuff, like kind of like Old Republic looking. Looked very cool. They kind of turn out to be like a sort of part of the rebels, like a rebel faction. Like they're not Marauders. They don't go and run around killing. Like that's what everyone's told that they are, and they sort of. They're stealing from the Empire to help the rebels, sort of thing. That in that way, and they didn't turn out to be who I thought they would be. Enfy is badass, by the way. She is awesome with that freaking like vibro spear, like sort of thing with the big shockwave and stuff. That stuff is what I wanted to see. That's the stuff like bounty hunter, badass gadgets and stuff. That's what I wanted to see. I kind of wish I saw a little more of it though. That would have been cool. But yeah, that whole like, oh yeah, we take people that have been affected by it, and like Warwick Davis is playing one of them, and yeah, they go around and they try and help people, and they're like basically part of the rebels in a way. Like the fuel that they get is gonna get given to the rebellion, or like because. At this point, I'm pretty sure like they're still all in little cells running around. Like they haven't come together as a rebellion yet. Because judging by the way Darth Maul was, yeah, this is like a decent amount of time away from the rebel stuff. So, I mean, at least a couple of years. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see the timeline where it lines up in that way. But yeah, that was kind of cool to see. I liked seeing, them and how they all looked. And I'm pretty sure, like, I think there might have been a bounty hunter from Rogue One too, who was part of from Saw Gerrera's group. I think, like, the guy with the mask, like the hoses and stuff. Like, I mean, he may just be the same species. I don't know, but he looked really, really the same. Like, really the same. So maybe because, like, this group kind of gets wiped out along the way, as they say, and he goes and joins Saw's group, and that's how he kind of survives in a way. But yeah, that was cool. Like, I really liked the look of them. Kind of wish I saw them fight a little more, but yeah, it was still cool. Obviously, like, small things like, going off to Tatooine, Beckett saying, hey, if you need to find me, obviously when he was leaving, Beckett, says, like, oh yeah, this big time gangster, looking for a crew. Like, we all thought that was, gonna be like some of the first lines in the movie, but it was actually like the sort of leaving thing for them. It's Jabba probably looking for that smuggler run that Han gets pulled up on, like, or at least it's how Han gets in with Jabba, and then maybe like the second or third job he does, like, it gets him in trouble with Tatooine and stuff. That's how they get Han in the vicinity of Tatooine, and how he gets linked up with Jabba and stuff, and how he probably gets a debt with him and all that. So that was kind of cool. There's a nice little small thing there. We found out how he got the last name Solo. Like, apparently, like, Solo was not his last name. He was just Han. And, like, when the Imperial guy, when he signs up for the Imperial, like, the flight academy and stuff, he's like, oh, I'm just me. I'm just one. And the guy's like, Han Solo. I was like, really? Is that how we're gonna do it? Which is like some random dude just is like, yep, you're Han Solo now. Like, probably one of the most well-known, characters ever. It's like, yeah, some random Imperial dude gave you your last name. Cool. Because you're Solo. Like, you're just by yourself. It's like, okay. It was like, I don't know what I expected there. Like, I figured it was just like his last name was Solo anyway. That was kind of always been the thing there, where his last name has always been Solo. Like, there's even like been like sort of books and stuff where like Han has been like the Solo family was like really important on the Corellia and stuff. It's just, Corellia had forgotten about it and all that. But yeah, it was still good. It was still good, but it's just like, yeah, you're gonna give this like big thing to this random Imperial dude who we'll never see again. Okay. And for like a really weird reason. Like, oh yeah, he's by himself, so I'll call him Solo. I mean, it's stuck, and it's a kind of a cool name, but, I mean, like, big stuff. I mean, Beckett's betrayal. I mean, I saw that coming a mile away. Kira's betrayal, kind of saw that coming. I thought she was gonna do something. You just expected a lot of it. Lando's betrayal, in a way, where he just flew away. Kind of expected that out of Lando. Kind of sets him up for, like, yo, I'm about me. And if I'm in trouble, if I have to sacrifice you, Han, to save myself, I will do that. I will do that. So yeah. A lot of the movie was kind of predictable. It was kind of predictable. Like, if you know Star Wars in any way, you probably see a lot of it coming. There's really, like, just the Darth Maul stuff. A few of the small little things that kind of like, oh, okay, that was cool. But yeah, not much else. I mean, I could go on about this for ages, but I kind of want to keep the video under a certain amount of time, so we'll probably end it there. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Like I said, Solo, I think a must see. I think go and see it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it just suffered a little bit from that sort of, being a origin story prequel type thing. But I mean, I think it's still a great movie. I thought it was really, really, really awesome. Just jumps, sort of. It's a nice Star Wars story that's all wrapped up nicely, and you don't have to really worry about it. And if you want to go see Han more, you go watch the originals. That's the whole thing. Did I think we needed it? Probably not. Like, I didn't really think I needed a solo story. I think there are plenty of other stories that I think I'd like to see. If anything, I would like to see Han between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. That's the time I want to see him. I don't really mind not seeing him prior to New Hope, but that between Return of the Jedi and freaking Force Awakens, that's the time. That's the time I want to see. Like, why did, him and Leia sort of break up? And I mean, obviously this is all in books and stuff, but why him and Leia got sort of stretched out. I mean, obviously you can't do that now with Carrie Fisher passing away, but stuff like that would have been a lot more, I think, a bit more interesting than this. But it was still a really good film, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. But yeah. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Like I said before we hit the spoilers section, if you did like, please hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. We are pushing for that 1,000. It'd be really cool if we could hit that. But yeah, I mean, we do these movie reviews pretty much on the regular. I'm trying to get back into getting more and more videos coming out. I'm just sort of tweaking some stuff, and I got some setup things I got to get. Like, I still got to get my green screen and stuff back. Just with the whole move and everything, it's thrown me out of whack a little bit. Just got to get back into it. I promise I will. But I mean, we got like E3 and all that coming up. That's going to be big. So keep an eye on the channel. And yeah. Alright guys, I'll catch you later. Peace. Bye.